The route from Everest Base Camp to the summit covers 3,484 meters of vertical gain. Along the way, it crosses a glacier that moves every day, a solar trap where the temperature swings 50 degrees in a few hours, an ice wall that can send climbers hundreds of meters down the mountain if a foothold fails, and a zone above 8,000 meters where the human body begins to deteriorate the moment it arrives. This video follows the route section by section from base camp to the summit and reveals why reaching the highest point on Earth is only half the climb. Everest Base Camp is established on the southern edge of the Khumbu Glacier in Nepal at 5,364 meters. At this altitude, there is about half as much oxygen available as at sea level. The camp itself is a temporary city of several hundred tents spread across the glacial moraine, color-coded by expedition team, shifting slightly each season as the glacier moves beneath it. Before any team moves beyond this point, a puja ceremony takes place. Sherpa monks lead prayers and burn juniper offerings. Climbing equipment is blessed. Prayer flags are raised above the camp. Every serious expedition participates. For the Sherpa community, the ceremony is considered essential. The financial cost of reaching base camp is considerable. A fully supported Everest expedition, including permit, Sherpa team, oxygen supply, equipment, and logistics, runs between $50,000 and $160,000 per climber. The Nepalese government permit alone costs $11,000. That figure grants the legal right to attempt the mountain. Success, safety, and survival are not included in the price. The climb itself has not even begun. The glacier above base camp looks like a route. It is also the most dangerous section of the entire climb. The Khumbu icefall begins immediately above base camp. It is a 2-kilometer section of the Khumbu Glacier, moving down a steep cliff face, fracturing and shifting as it descends, at a rate of up to 1.2 meters per day. No two crossings are exactly the same. The icefall is rebuilt every season, and sometimes several times during a single season. A safe crossing at midnight may be an open crevasse by afternoon. Seracs. Towers of glacial ice rise above the route to heights equivalent to a 12-story building. They can collapse at any hour, without warning. Crevasses drop more than 100 meters. Many are concealed beneath snow bridges that appear identical to solid ground. Climbers cross them on aluminum ladders lashed end to end, moving in crampons above drops from which there is little chance of rescue. At least 47 climbers have lost their lives in the Khumbu icefall since 1953, more than in any other single section of the mountain. In April 2014, a serac collapse above a group of Sherpa guides triggered an avalanche that killed 16 people in a single morning while they were preparing the route for that season. Every team on the South Col route must cross the icefall multiple times during the weeks of acclimatization rotations required before any summit attempt. Experienced Sherpas can clear it in under 2 hours. For less practiced climbers, a single crossing takes between 3 and 6 hours in pre-dawn temperatures that fall to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Above the icefall, the greatest danger briefly gives way to the greatest illusion of safety. The Western Khum is a wide glacial valley stretching from about 6,000 to 6,400 meters between the Khumbu icefall and the base of the Lhotse face. The surrounding walls reflect sunlight onto the snow from every side. Temperatures here swing from minus 20 degrees Celsius before sunrise to above 30 degrees by midday, a change of 50 degrees in just a few hours. Frostbite and heat exhaustion have occurred on the same day in the same valley. Camp 2 sits at 6,400 meters at the far end, the last relatively flat ground before the mountain steepens dramatically. Above Camp 2, the Lhotse face begins without any gradual transition. This is a steep, continuous wall of blue glacial ice, approximately 1,100 meters high, angled between 40 and 50 degrees. There is almost no transition. Climbers ascend on crampons and ice axes, clipped to fixed ropes anchored into the ice. A single uncontrolled slip can mean a fall of hundreds of meters before anything stops it. Camp 3 is located at 7,162 meters, on tent platforms cut directly into the ice. There is no flat ground anywhere on this section. Tents are secured with ice screws driven into the wall. Climbers at Camp 3 sleep with solid ice above them and open air directly beneath. Above Camp 3, the next challenge is no longer the terrain. It is altitude itself. Camp 4 is located on the South Col at 7,906 meters, a wind-stripped plateau of bare rock and ice between Everest and Lhotse. Above 8,000 meters begins what climbers call the death zone, the threshold above which the human body cannot acclimatize, only deteriorate. The air contains approximately 1/3 of the oxygen available at sea level. Cells begin dying. Cognition degrades. Wind on the South Col regularly exceeds 80 kilometers per hour. At the summit, gusts have been recorded at 280 kilometers per hour. Teams rest at Camp 4 for a few hours, rarely more, before beginning the summit push at midnight. The timing is determined by the weather window, which on Everest amounts to a matter of days each May, when the jet stream pulls far enough from the summit to allow an attempt. In some years, the window does not open at all. In others, it lasts only long enough for a single round of attempts. Missing it means descending to lower altitude and waiting another year for the next opportunity. In darkness, climbers follow fixed ropes up the southeast ridge. After 3 to 4 hours inside the death zone, the route reaches the balcony at 8,400 meters, a narrow shelf where oxygen canisters are exchanged and teams rest for minutes rather than longer. Every minute spent here uses strength that cannot be recovered before the climb is over. From there, climbers continue to the south summit at 8,749 meters, the first point from which the true summit comes into view. Between the south summit and the summit lie 300 meters of corniced ridge, with a drop of more than 2,400 meters into Nepal on one side and more than 3,000 meters into Tibet on the other. Until the 2015 earthquake, this section was marked by the Hillary Step, a famous 12-meter near-vertical rock wall at 8,790 meters. The earthquake changed this section of the route. Climbers now cross a steep snow slope instead. It remains demanding and dangerous, but it is no longer the technical rock climb it was for decades. The highest point on Earth is almost within reach. But that is not the finish line. The summit of Everest is a small, exposed ridge with just enough room for a few climbers to stand. After 40 to 70 days on the mountain, and up to 20 hours of climbing on summit day alone, a climber arrives at the highest point on Earth with a body running at a fraction of its normal capacity, in temperatures between -30 and -40 degrees Celsius, breathing from equipment that provides less oxygen than the atmosphere does at the base of any other major mountain on Earth. Most climbers spend fewer than 30 minutes on the summit. From 8,848 meters, mountain ranges stretch in every direction, and on a clear day, the curvature of the Earth is visible on the horizon. But the summit is not the conclusion of the climb. Every step taken upward is a step that must be reversed in a body that has been deteriorating since Camp 4. The descent, completed by a body at its most depleted, in conditions that have often deteriorated since the upward crossing, accounts for a disproportionate share of fatalities on the mountain. Most climbers who have reached the summit report that the awareness of the return journey begins before they leave the top. Since 1953, more than 12,000 people have reached the summit. As of 2024, 335 of them did not return. The mountain has not changed. The route has not become shorter. For every climber who reaches the highest point on Earth, one final challenge remains: getting back down safely.